What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again. And first and foremost, thank you to all of you that came out to the live stream last night. It was a fun time. I enjoyed hanging out with everyone, and hopefully you all enjoyed hanging out as well. And thank you all for all of the support and just interacting and having fun with me. It's been a blast doing this again, and I'm continuing to enjoy it, so we're going to continue to do it. Now, before we go in and breaking down our Thursday night game, man, I love saying Thursday night football in February. Can you believe it? It's here, and we can thank the XFL for it. Now, but before we get into that, let's talk about these TV ratings. So let's just go through and the ABC showing that we had on Saturday with the Vipers and the Renegades was average of 1.5 million viewers. And then the Saturday nightcap with ESPN and FX, the Orlando Guardians and the Houston Roughnecks was a 1.1. Sunday on ABC, the BattleHawks and the Brahmas had an average of a 1.6. And then on Sunday night on ESPN, the Dragons and the DC Defenders, an average of 934,000. Averaged it out for the week for a 1.3 million viewers, which is not anywhere close to the 2020 version. It's not it's half of what the AAF was, half of what the USFL had on their first night. But it's not. Don't get too concerned by that. For 2023 numbers, those are good, and especially when you're going up against the competition that they did. If you remember, we had the All-Star game this weekend, and for NASCAR, you had the NASCAR coming back. So you had Daytona this weekend. You also had, I know some people watch wrestling. You had the WWE premium event. And so that one you had. I'm just saying that there was a lot of competition this past weekend. So I think a 1.3 average over the whole weekend was a very, very good weekend for them. So nothing to get worried about. Nothing, is the league going to fold? Are they going to? Nothing's going anywhere. I think that these were good numbers, and they'll continue to grow. The other thing is that doesn't take into account the subscription services. Like you guys have been telling me, hey, you don't have to have FX. You can watch it on ESPN Plus. This does not take into effect any of the viewership on ESPN Plus. So I don't know if that's a good, bad, indifferent. We don't know those numbers. I think that those numbers are probably taking away from that a little bit. How much, I don't know. I don't know if you're drawing, 500,000 to 75,000, 750,000 people to get you to that, 2 million viewers on average. I don't think that, you're getting those numbers, but I think you're getting quite a bit of numbers. I think people would be surprised just how many people are using streaming services now to get their sports. So those are my quick thoughts on that. Let's move over to the game, our Thursday night game, and this is exciting. Thursday night football, like I said, during February is just crazy to me, and this one's going to be an interesting one. This one's going to be in Lumen Field there in Seattle. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on FX, or you can watch it on ESPN Plus, like you guys have told me. This game, if you saw the video up of the field this morning or today, they had snow there, and it's gonna. I think they'll have the field cleaned off. The field will look nice. It's going to look sharp. They're not supposed to have any more, rain, precipitation in the forecast. It'll get up to, it's supposed to be partly sunny tomorrow. It should be, about 38 degrees, about the high. About game time, it'll be about 30 degrees there. Just a little bit of a wind of 5-6 degrees is what's projected there. So I think it'll be a little chilly, but not too chilly for football. I think it'll be good football weather. And yeah, it's February. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the NFL teams, they've got to play in that kind of weather too. So I'm not worried about the weather with this game. The biggest thing I would be worried about is if there was precipitation, but we don't have that here. So take take into consideration the cold, but I wouldn't go, looking too far into it when, we're not having to deal. I don't think they're going to have to deal with snow or anything of that nature. Now, this game, the Seattle Sea Dragons are going to be having the St. Louis BattleHawks coming into town. The Sea Dragons are giving 2.5 points to the BattleHawks. Your over-under for the night is 36.5 points. Now, the stage is set. Let's talk about this game, and let's start breaking this thing down, and I'm going to give you my keys to the game. First, with the BattleHawks. Listen, they need to open up this offense earlier. I'm sorry, you can't do it with a minute and a half left in the game. That's not going to work against this team. And I think they started to figure some things out as they went on in the game. The thing with it is that they need to not play so close to the chest with this thing. They need to come out and they need to get A.J. McCarron firing, and they need to hit those guys and hit them early. They need to get Aitman. They need to get Austin Pearl. They need to get those guys into this game early. The other guy that they really need to get going is they need to get Hill running the ball. That's my second thing for this team for this week. He only had 6 carries for 55 yards last week. He ran all over them, but he only got 6 carries. Now, they only ran the ball a total of 15 times the whole game, but then again, they only had, you only run a total of 46 plays. So when you're running only a total of 46 plays, you're not really getting a lot of opportunities to run the ball. And depending upon the situation with your team, where they were, they're going to do a lot of passing. They need to run the ball more, and they need to hand that ball off to Hill. Hill is their guy. He's their dude. And I think that, as things progress, I think that, that needs to be more evident. He needs to have a bigger role in this offense. So start quicker, faster, run the ball, and then on defense, they need to get stops. They gave up, last week, they gave up a total of 324 yards. That's right, 324 yards to the Brahmas. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. They ran 77 plays against this defense. This defense needs to figure out how to get stops, because I can tell you that the Seattle team is going to punch the ball in the end zone against them. They're going to figure out ways to punch that ball in the end zone that the Brahmas were not able to. You've got kind of a, you've got a lackluster offense that just put 324 yards on you from 77 plays to a Cadillac, not a Cadillac. I mean, it's going to be more like a Ferrari running around on you. That is just going to take this thing and really open things up on you. So they need to figure out and find stops where they can. Bring pressure on Ben DiNucci. We know that under pressure, he has issues. So if they can get the stops on defense and get the ball back to their offense, I think that's going to be huge for this team. Now, turning things over, and let's look at these Dragons. These Dragons, the keys to the game for me is you need to run the ball. This sounds kind of weird and kind of counterintuitive, but Brendan Knox had 11 carries last week, and I think that he should have gotten more. This is kind of one of those things to where I really like the way they came out. I really like the way that they played. Later on in the game, I was kind of like, they needed to run more. They kind of abandoned the run. But as I rewatched the game, like in my head, I was watching this thing, and I'm like, wait a second here. If he doesn't throw those picks, This is a totally I mean, I knew that, but like I guess I didn't really realize that. I'm like, you know what? I would have liked them to even out their play calling a little bit, but it really wasn't as bad as what it came off to be to me. I mean, the issue was the fact that DiNucci threw 2 terrible interceptions in 2 of the worst places possible. And so as I see this, though, I think they needed to, and I still feel this way, they need to take that ball and they need to punch the other team in the mouth. So they need to get up early and then let Knox and that offensive line just wear on them, because they were wearing on that defense, and they were doing a pretty good job of it. I don't want them to take away from what they're doing, with everything else with the offense. I just think he needs about 5 more carries. That's all. And, I think meaning just take a few plays, make them more designed runs for him. And I think that we're good, because I really like his style of play. I really like the way that he runs, how he finishes his runs. Just super nice for me. The second thing is that they need to bring pressure, and they need to play man on defense. As I was rewatching those BattleHawks, and I'm watching that 2-minute offense, it dawned on me. There was 2 things that were happening with that. The Brahmas they forgot the defense that had gotten them to where they were. They quit bringing pressure, and they started playing zone defense. If you watch, now granted they played zone defense parts of the way through the rest of the other parts of the game, but they were bringing pressure throughout that whole game, which was throwing AJ, it was making AJ McCarron run for his complete life back there. And so as I'm, kind of looking at this thing, I'm like, wait, they totally changed their defensive scheme and started playing prevent defense. And you and I both know exactly what happens when you play prevent defense. You prevent yourself from winning, and that's exactly what the Brahmas did here. So I think that, and I really do think that this Seattle defense is a better defense than the Brahmas defense, and I think that they can really bring it. I think they've got some guys in that defense that could just really, really wreak some havoc on them. So, when I look at this, if they can confuse them with some with bringing some pressure from different areas, different places, and it doesn't, they don't need to bring the house every time. And if they can go ahead and they can play some man defense to where AJ McCarron's got to run for his life, I think that this could be a different game than what the one was. And so then that brings me to my third thing, and this one's the most obvious, and I've touched on it many times already. DiNucci needs to protect the stinking ball. He can't fumble the ball, and he can't throw unnecessary picks. When I was rewatching the game, I didn't realize really that defense only gave up 1 touchdown. They only gave up 177 yards total against what I think will be a pretty decent DC Defenders offense. This defense is very, very good, and if it weren't for the 2 costly interceptions by the quarterback, by DiNucci, I mean, we're talking about, those are really kind of point swings too. If they don't miss that field goal, instead of a 22-18 loss, you're looking more at like a 28-16 win or something like that. That's how huge of a shift this was. And with all of the picks that he had and the things with it, they still ran 75 plays. So, and I think that this DC offense will be a pretty decent DC offense. So they're running 54 plays, and the BattleHawks only got 46. The BattleHawks they could be in for a world of hurt with this defense. So if Ben DiNucci can protect the ball, this is going to be a long game for the BattleHawks, and they might get their rear ends handed to them. And this could be the homer in me, and this could be wishful thinking. We'll see what happens with the game. But if Seattle plays defense tight and brings it, AJ McCarron's going to be running for his life. I don't think he's going to have enough time to get the ball to his big playmakers. And I think that they're always going to be having to play catch up, because this offense is going to be firing, because I don't think that the BattleHawks defense is as good as the as the Defenders defense is. to where I think that the Dragons are gonna have a better opportunity here. I think you're gonna see Josh Gordon. He's gonna have some opportunities to really show out here, and Pearson I think is gonna have another really big day, and we're gonna be talking about him a lot more. I mean the ball is going to be dispersed around to everyone. I think that this one's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be over by halftime, early third quarter. I think you're looking at like a 29-14. I think that the BattleHawks will get like a late field goal or something to make it look a little bit more respectable. I would go with the over on this one, and I would definitely, if you want the sure pick is the Sea Dragons. And two, this Sea Dragon team, they're going to have that home field advantage, and I think that that's going to be an advantage for them here. I know it's a huge stadium, but I think that they're going to get a lot of fans there, even with the cold. I don't know how fickle, Seattle fans are when it comes to weather. I know here in Ohio, football fans, it don't matter what weather it is, they're going to have their butts in those stands on that cold metal bench. They're going to be sitting there. They're going to be rooting their teams on. And if Seattle fans are anything like Ohio fans, then that's what's going to happen, and they're going to be there supporting their team, and it's going to be a fun place to be at, and it'll be a pretty cool experience to watch all the way around. I think you're going to have some big dynamic plays in this game, and I think that the Dragons they're going to hit hard, they're going to hit fast, and they're not going to look back, and I think that this one is going to be a big win for the Dragons. And there you have it. Folks, that is my pick for the Thursday night game. As always, I want to know what your thoughts are down in the comment section, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. Listen, guys, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.